Thank you all for joining us here today. I'm Nicole Geniak. I'm the VP of Sales here at L2T Media. We're thrilled that you're all here. I'd like to introduce Rohit Bal.
Thanks, Nicole. My name is Rohit Bal, and I'm a Strategic Partner Manager at Google. And in my role, I get to partner with automotive-focused agencies like L2T Media to help them develop go-to-market strategies, to bring them in industry insights, and the latest product information. I sort of act like their Google consultant, and L2T is among a handful of agencies who have this special relationship with Google.
L2T Media's value proposition is focused on bringing innovation to our dealers to help you all sell and service more vehicles, which is why we're bringing you this event here today. So today we're going to discuss the Google Playbook and its 4 pillars, along with L2T Media's alignment with the playbook. We will also translate what this playbook means to your campaigns with L2T Media at a high level. We will then save time at the end, of course, for questions from you all. From a logistical standpoint, everyone will be muted. However, you will be able to type comments or questions in the chat box, so please do so. And Diane Massey, our marketing director, will read them at the end, and L2T Media or Google will certainly answer any question you all might have. So now I'm going to pass along to Rohit again to explain what the Google Dealer Playbook means to you all.
Thanks, Nicole. So for a while now, we at Google have been getting the question of, what should I be doing on Google? I mean, I know it's where I should be advertising, but can you help me figure out what specifically I should be doing? My answer is always yes. Fortunately, I have more than a yes to back me up now. We have what we've called the Dealer Playbook. It's designed to do just this. Instead of us saying, Google is where you should be, we're moving from this is what you should go do to how to, with data-backed solutions and strategies. And I'd like to caveat that this is an evolving document. So you're likely to see it become more refined and even expand over the coming months. To me, this is very, very exciting because it means that we're constantly getting the best, most cutting-edge work out into the market. So the playbook itself consists of 4 pillars that create a framework to maximize how you're going to use Google products. You can think of this as a crawl, walk, run progression, a sequential order from left to right. In the red box called Foundational Fundamentals, if you're knocking these out of the park, or if you aren't knocking these out of the park, you aren't using Google the best way possible. These are the elements that we need to have in place in order to maximize Google products. The next box is Brilliant Basics. These are basic best practices. But to be honest with you, they're often overlooked in dealerships' Google campaigns. These are powerful tactics that are worth prioritizing before you get to the 3rd and 4th pillars. Now, Nicole will explain more on both of these first 2 areas, but I do want to emphasize that this is really where you should be focusing your energy. I mean, you wouldn't teach your kids algebra before they have mastered how to add, subtract, or multiply. And in the same way, you want to focus on these first 2 pillars before moving forward. When you have mastered those 2, you start looking at the 3rd pillar called Today's Differentiators. These are tested and true strategies around audience targeting and advanced keywords. The 4th and final pillar are the future growth levers. Now, you may be testing some strategies here, and if you're not, it's okay. We see our most sophisticated marketing partners playing in this area. So it's something that you should be thinking about for the future when it comes to marketing your business. Now, I'll hand it to Nicole to go through the first crucial pillars, Foundational Fundamentals and Brilliant Basics.
Thanks, Rohit. So yes, foundational fundamentals need to be in place before doing anything else. And these are making sure your website experience is a positive one for the consumer, tracking form submissions, VDP pages, phone calls with call tracking, and having your AdWords and analytics accounts linked up to make sure you can measure your Google performance in the best manner. And of course, paid search basics, which means owning your brand and term real estate, maintaining ad excellence, and spending dollars to get low-hanging fixed ops traffic. So first and foremost, we'll jump into your site experience. Your site experience is absolutely fundamental. 53% of consumers will abandon a mobile site if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. And yet, when Google did a study on mobile site speed, the average site load time took 22 seconds. So can you guess why Google chose this as a foundational fundamental? It's absolutely critical to get this one right for the consumer. L2T Media has always said that dealers should think about their website as their virtual showroom. They should make sure that the experience on that showroom is great, and they should check it daily. Site speed is a big dissatisfier. So work with your website provider to improve this experience. Go to test my website at testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. So after you get that one right, the next part of Google's playbook, they describe it as Google measurement. And Google suggests in this area linking up AdWords and analytics to make sure you're tracking all of the relevant information in your digital marketing campaign. Now, L2T Media has always tracked calls, and we've always tracked form submissions and BDP pages. And in fact, we take it a step further, and some might not know this, but we actually filter out calls that are less than 15 seconds for dealers who are using our call tracking services. So without being able to view these items within Google Analytics, how can you truly gauge success? Well, you can't, which is why this one is a foundational fundamental for Google. The next foundational fundamental instructs dealers to own their own brand by maintaining 90% impression share on their branded terms. This is something that L2T Media has been encouraging since day one. The branded terms are very inexpensive to purchase, and Google has done many studies on this, and it's shown that owning the real estate for your branded terms in both paid and organic provides an 89% incremental site visit count. So how could you deny that? So it not only provides these incremental site visitors, but it also helps improve your overall Google account by helping your quality score. And the quality score will essentially, a positive quality score will essentially end up helping your cost per click. So this is something that the branded campaign and dominating that branded campaign is something that virtually all L2T Media customers have in place here today. Ultimately, the next step is if you want ad excellence in paid search, you're doing all of the following. So the first thing is including ad extensions to provide more information with greater flexibility. You're utilizing all of the different ad extensions. The next one is including 3 expanded text ads in each ad group. This provides Google with the opportunity to rotate the ads more often, which helps the optimization of those ads and making sure that the one that engages the customers the most is the one that's shown more often. Now, that's a real important one. We've had expanded text ads in our campaigns as soon as they were rolled out, and we've always had 3 versions of ads in our campaigns since the start of our company. So this is a big one. The next one is, of course, setting up your ad rotation to allow for the right ad to show in front of the right person at the right time to optimize for clicks and conversion. Again, this is a setting in AdWords to make sure that your ads are set up to optimize for clicks and conversion. So L2T has adhered to all 3 of these best practices again since day one. So as you can imagine, Google suggests maximizing your mobile experience as well. Because mobile is such a big force to be reckoned with, they recommend making sure that 100% of mobile real estate is covered. So this is done with making sure that you're ranking at the top or bidding for dominance. Making sure that you have relevant ad copy for the mobile ad, which L2T absolutely does, and incorporating all the site extensions. Some of our favorite extensions at L2T Media are the price extensions, the click-to-call extensions, and the location extensions. But you should absolutely enable all of them within your campaigns. One thing to remember about these ad extensions that we often get questions about, Google wants to show the most relevant extension. So the extension that shows should be the most relevant extension based on the search query that the user is doing. This means, though, that not all of the ad extensions may show at a given time. However, you want them all enabled to make sure that the right extension will show to the right user at the right time. So don't get frustrated or worried if they're not all showing. Know that Google's best practice is to show the right one to the consumer. So next one that Google recommends as part of the foundational fundamentals is utilizing digital marketing for fixed apps. So they recommend this because, quite frankly, isn't your fixed apps department your greatest profit driver? I think, we often wonder why every dealer isn't taking advantage of the low funnel search terms that would actually drive more service customers to your dealership. So Google included this in the foundational fundamentals because the opportunity is so big. In Google's mind, before you start moving to the advanced stuff, why don't you tap out on what you're already providing? Your service business is a huge profit center. So why don't we tap out on getting more traffic here? So the opportunity is here, yet few dealers are capitalizing on it. So we know that of the people who have gotten their vehicle serviced, nearly 1 in 3 of them searched online first. And there are 400 million monthly parts and service queries on Google. And 55% of the customers called directly from a mobile search result. So we know that there's opportunity. Many dealers have tried service in the early days and possibly maybe used it with too broad of a net. So Google actually, as part of the playbook, offered up advice on the keywords that need to be included with all of your service terms. So what they're saying here is include make plus the service term. So for instance, Honda oil change, or make plus service plus near me. So for instance, Toyota oil change near me, or Toyota brakes. So include the make in front of the service term always. It's going to get you a more relevant searcher. Don't just include the general service term of oil change. So L2T has been advocating service campaigns since our inception. And we've been capitalizing on these near me terms ever since we started seeing the trend for those terms on the rise. So a service paid search campaign really ends up costing very little money. So if you join this webinar for some quick tips on how to improve your dealership's business, this is one that I would advocate for doing immediately. It's one that is not being taken advantage of by enough dealers. So that's the last of the foundational fundamentals. So what we'll do next, and just keep in mind, this is moving to the next pillar. So what Google's saying is all of the foundational fundamentals that we just reviewed should be in place first before you move on to Brilliant Basics. So just a reminder. So Brilliant Basics, though, entails 2 items. One is paid search excellence. And what they focus on here is where should I, on the micro moments of where should I buy, and can I get a deal, and can I afford it? And then the second item of Brilliant Basics is video and display basics. So with that said, we'll jump into the micro moments. So the ready to buy micro moments are here. And many of you may have seen this because Google's been talking about these micro moments for quite some time. But a big piece of the Google Dealer Playbook is really kind of splitting these up and showing that the 3 on the right that we're focused on right now are the ones that dealers should really tackle, that the tier 3 auto dealers should really focus on. The ones on the left are the ones that maybe the OEM or tier 2 should focus on. So with that said, we'll talk a lot more about these 3 micro moments that dealers should capitalize on. So the where should I buy micro moments include L2T Media's branded, dealer, and regional campaigns for all of you that are customers. So branded includes the terms with your dealer name, regional includes the terms with the city, and dealer includes terms with the word dealer or dealership in. So it's a customer that's searching for, Toyota dealership, Toyota dealer in Chicago. So those types of keywords. L2T Media has always advocated spending here first. These are typically going to drive the lowest cost per lead. And really, after you've conquered these particular keywords, you should move on to the next moment of, can I get a deal and can I afford it? And the campaigns in those are really our make and model campaigns. So Google and L2T Media are aligned because we've always advocated spending on the branded, regional, and dealer terms first, and then kind of moving to those make and model keywords. And in those make and model keywords, we're including the words like lease, financing, incentive. Those types of keywords are incorporated within those make model keywords. To ask, really, what we're trying to accomplish there is, can I afford it and can I get a deal? So now that we've talked about the micro moments, let's talk a little bit about the advanced audience strategies that Google recommends. So many dealers might assume that their involvement with the community and marketing over the years has enabled their community to know them well. And while sometimes that may be the case, we have to believe this stat because it kind of makes sense. 58% of auto shoppers who made a purchase didn't know the dealer. That's a big number. 58% is a really big number who didn't know your dealership factually before they bought from you, which is why this brilliant basic one is an important one to master. The power of the Google network is undeniable. Between all of their different platforms, they know where we are and what we're interested in, which provides the consumer with a smarter marketing, and Google ultimately wants to provide the customer with the right message, and really that's at the end of the day what they're built upon. So this is where remarketing lists for search ads, or RLSA, and similar audiences comes in. Because again, we're trying to target the right customer because 58% of shoppers don't know who you are. So it would be a mistake to assume that if a consumer comes to your website for the first time, that they're gonna just come in and buy a car. We know that that's not the case. So we have enabled remarketing lists for search ads on all L2T campaigns. And that way we know that if the customer comes through and they land on your website via keyword, we're going to prioritize continuing to send search ads to those customers because we know that those customers are the important ones. We want to get them back to the site so that they can convert at a later time. And then similar audience and RLSA were actually both presented on within an automotive news webinar that we held this summer. And we obviously have prioritized these because we presented on it not so long ago. So really L2T and Google are in alignment here. So Google recommends that you know your audience and leverage it as a strategic asset utilizing the remarketing list for search ads, or RLSA. And they recommend that you leverage the lookalike audience or similar audiences. So if you want more details on these two advanced targeting tactics, we have included much more detail on them within our most recent blog post. So you can actually go to l2tmedia.com/blog to see the most recent blog post on the Google Playbook, which includes a link for more information on these two advanced audience strategies. So with that said, we'll jump into the next area of focus within Brilliant Basics, which is casting a wider net with display advertising. So we know the Google Display Network, we're probably all familiar with it, but we might not be familiar with how vast it is. And it's pretty incredible. It spans over 3 million websites and it reaches more than 90% of people on the internet. That's a pretty incredible number. So at L2T Media, we've definitely seen firsthand how display increases the reach and user engagement, really ultimately putting the ads in front of many new users and driving website traffic. So one interesting fact that I think is really fascinating is that the GDN can reach 84% of a typical remarketing list in a month. So that means, again, if we want to continue to get customers back on our website, then why wouldn't we be applying the Google Display Network remarketing campaign so that we can continue to stay in front of those shoppers that have been on our website? Because we factually know that 97% of first-time site visitors are not going to convert to a lead. That's a really big number. So the retargeting ads help keep you front and center. And with the Google Display Network providing the reach, why wouldn't you leverage this? So definitely an area to look at and make sure you're capitalizing on if you have achieved everything here into within the Google Playbook. So last but not least, for brilliant basics, Google is recommending YouTube. And really, they're recommending YouTube because it reaches 88% of all US adults. We recently held a lunch and learn for our customers, actually, and we talked a lot about YouTube and the value that it provides. The main value that we see with YouTube is it provides incremental reach above and beyond what you're currently getting. So it's really getting your message in front of more users. We know that 97% of users are going to perform an action after watching a video. So it pushes them to actually do something. And of those, we're seeing that 46% are visiting the dealership, 42% are searching the dealership inventory, 40% are doing more research online, and 37% are speaking with family and friends about the cars. So if you want to provide awareness of your dealership and cast that wider net, you add YouTube to your Google buy. So it's incredibly affordable with the cost per view format. And we've seen the lift in search that it provides at L2T Media. 2017 has really been the year of more and more dealers embracing YouTube. So if you've covered off on the previous items, YouTube really is your next step. So with all of that said, I'm going to pass it back over to Rohit to discuss today's differentiators, which is the third pillar of the Google Dealer Playbook.
Thanks, Nicole. So as Nicole mentioned, let's move on to that third pillar, the green one, today's differentiators. This pillar is focused on what you should do once you have your foundational strategies and brilliant basics in place and running. Admittedly, this is where things start to get more advanced, they start to get more cutting edge, but I'm personally up for the challenge of explaining it, so let's get right to it. Taking another look at the micro moments, if you're maximizing your opportunity in the colored areas on the right, the can I afford it, am I getting a deal, and where should I buy moments, then it's time to branch out and test the impact that you can have when you talk to shoppers earlier in the process. And that's what you see on the left. Those moments are which is best and is it right for me moments. Generally, these come earlier in the research process. Now, as Nicole mentioned, and you're probably saying, aren't those areas where the OEMs or maybe the tier 2 organizations should be playing? And I agree with you in large part. The OEMs should be competing for the upper end of the funnel. They should be winning the customer from competing brands using generic keywords and upper funnel tactics. And you, as dealers, should be winning the customer who's already interested in the relevant brand. So for your dealership, playing in these areas is not about buying generic keywords that your OEMs are already doing. It's about specific opportunities that your business provides to people that might still be in the research phase. For example, do you have too many Silverados on the lot? Are you approaching a big sales event? The solution here might be creating strategies that are unique to your business, but also interesting to folks that are further up in the funnel. This is absolutely something that your agency partner can work with you on. And the solution extends from what to say to who to say it to. This is what we call, in a familiar term for you at this point, an audience targeting strategy. And you can see that it begins from the people who are most likely to do business with you on the left, called remarketing. Next are those people that you know are in market, hence the category name of in market. And you should note that in market is actually a targeting strategy that you can select within AdWords itself. From there, you move to broader categories like demographic targeting and folks that are just enthusiasts. Maybe they're auto enthusiasts or tech or some other general interest that you might be curious in targeting. The next area, once you have your targeting strategy down, is to consider different types of creative. So we always recommend with starting with what you have. That's a never fail strategy. Many times, that means leveraging your existing TV commercials. But from here, you may want to be considering editing that creative to better fit the digital format. L2T can work with you on the specifics, but I do want to give you some color for what that could mean. It might mean encouraging your viewers to visit your YouTube channel, or using brighter colors, since we know these show up better on mobile phones where a lot of people are watching YouTube videos. Remember, it's all about thinking about this from the user's perspective. Once you're comfortable and successful with your classic 15 or 30-second formats, you should consider the newest type of format, which is the 6-second ad called the bumper ad. These are snippets that are aimed to getting a single key message across in a bite-sized piece of video. The last pillar that we're going to talk about today is focused on looking forward and ensuring that we're setting ourselves up for success in the future. And I want to start with two pretty mind-blowing stats. In 2017, we, as people, are creating and consuming 7 times more data versus just 7 years ago. How is that happening? Well, we have so many more devices to create and consume on. For example, 89% of millennials have at least 3 devices. Now, with more data comes more possibility. And the question becomes, what do we do with all this new information? Well, that's where this new buzzword, which I hope you've heard, of machine learning really comes into play. Quick definition, Google defines, and I'm happy I can say that, Google defines machine learning as using artificial intelligence to allow the system to automatically learn and improve without explicitly being programmed. So there are 2 main ways you should be thinking about using machine learning in the not so distant future, and those are smart bidding and attribution. Smart bidding uses machine learning to optimize your bids to maximize conversion across all of your campaigns. This means giving the system the keys to drive performance, save time, and find more high potential customers. Net-net, it means your agencies and partners can spend less time optimizing and more time strategizing with you. The second technique is about testing different attribution models. With attribution, we're essentially saying, how do I distribute the credit of the conversion to all the ads that have contributed? So let's make this more real. It's sort of like a customer coming into your dealership more than once and meeting 2 different salespeople before actually purchasing a vehicle. Now, the question is, do you give credit to the first person that they met or the second person that interacted with them and possibly closed the sale? Well, with our attribution models, you can test out different methods that help you with that distribution. For example, using a time decay model, giving more weight to what happened more recently than a long time ago, or a data-driven model, which is based on algorithms that are designed to remove the guesswork using statistical significance. I don't want to use too much jargon here. I don't want to go too deep. I just want you to know it's an exciting area that you're going to hear more from Google and your agency partners about in the coming years.
So thanks, Rohit, and thank you for everyone for attending today's webinar. So to summarize, here are the 4 pillars of the Google Dealer Playbook: the foundational fundamentals, brilliant basics, today's differentiators, and future growth levers. So as a reminder, we have a blog post on this with lots more information with regards to what was presented here today. And it's my hope today that we've helped increase everyone's knowledge on these 4 pillars. So the next steps are Diane's going to provide any questions that you guys have asked. And then after we discuss those questions, you guys can also go and discuss questions that you might not want to bring up here today with your L2T media representative and strategize with them really on how to utilize the Google Playbook most effectively to really help you ultimately market more effectively and sell and service more cars. So now Diane will go ahead and read any questions that we have.
Thank you, Nicole and Rohit. A couple of the questions have really been logistical. Yes, everyone on the call and everyone who registered will get a link to the recording. I got several questions on that. Also, someone wanted the link for how to test their website, and it's testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. That's testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. Also, you can find in the handout section on your GoToWebinar control panel, there's a handout that is actually the Google Playbook that was distributed via Auto News last week, so you can download it there. Also, one of the questions is, how do we work with our website provider to improve load time? It's their platform and they have total control over load time. What are tactics that I can use to get them to improve this issue?
That's a great question, Diane, and I'm actually going to point the person that asked that question back to the Test My Site link that you referenced, Diane. So make sure you go there. The reason is you can simply plug in your dealership URL. It'll tell you how fast your site is loading, but also give you specific recommendations and areas of improvement. Many of us on this call are not technical people, but that's something that you can walk away with and discuss with your website provider. Are these areas that we can improve on? So Diane, if you don't mind plugging that website one more time, I think it's a very valuable resource and very relevant for this question.
Sure, it's testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. Okay, and another question, how can I use Webmaster Tools to improve my website?
That's a great question, and I'll go ahead and answer that. So utilizing Webmaster Tools, you can take away a lot of different things. And as part of L2T's SEO offering, we can help you with that. There's a lot of information that Google Webmaster Tools provides. It does provide information on load time. It provides information on the queries that are driving traffic to your site. It provides information on how your site is indexed with Google. So there's a lot of different elements within Google Webmaster Tools for you to utilize to make your site more readable to the search engines. I think that the question's tough, and I'd love for it to be answered or maybe asked directly, because there might be more entailed with that question that they're specifically looking for. So feel free to email me directly at n and then my last name gignac@l2tmedia.com, and I'll be happy to answer that one in greater detail with you, because I think that the amount of information within Google Webmaster Tools is pretty vast. So it's a pretty, I can definitely answer the question in more detail offline.
Okay, and then there was also a question about the blog link that you mentioned. Our blog can be found at l2tmedia.com/blog. And right now, the Google Playbook article is the topmost article on our blog, but within it, it also has a link to the YouTube webinar that Nicole mentioned, and a link also to a special report on RLSA and similar audiences, so you can get more information about the tactics that Nicole spoke to. And that is all the questions we have, unless there's any more. So Nicole, I'll let you close.
Great. So again, L2T's ultimate goal here is to work with you all on utilizing the playbook to market more effectively. So definitely reach out to your L2T Media representative that you work with on a daily basis on how to make sure that you're checking off the boxes within the Google Playbook step by step, and make sure that you guys are leveraging it to its best ability. So with that said, thank you all again for your time here today, and I hope you all have a great day.